If you are a frequent listener to the podcast, you know that we have been sponsored by Fuji Sports for quite some time now. Whether you're looking for apparel, equipment, bags, or accessories, Fuji Sports has got it covered. Go to fujisports.com to see the latest selection of everything you need for your jiu-jitsu, judo, or MMA journey. That's fujisports.com. Let me take a minute to tell you about RŌL TV. If you're looking to take your jiu-jitsu to the next level and supplement your BJJ education, then RŌL TV has you covered. RŌLAcademy.tv has over 1,500 videos covering individual techniques, positions, and concepts, including seminars and workshops with top-level competitors and instructors like Chris Wojcik, Robert Drysdale, Aaron Hurley, Emily Kwok, and more. Whether you are a beginner or a more advanced student, RŌL TV is the online platform that can take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you listen. This helps us bring you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. In this engaging conversation, Thomas's guest shares his journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts, highlighting the evolution of training methodologies over the years. He reflects on the origins of his nickname, Take It Easy, which stemmed from a memorable training session with an MMA legend. He recounts his early days in jiu-jitsu, his rapid rise through the ranks, and the emotional experience of receiving his black belt in under 4 years. Here's the RŌL Radio with a 5th degree black belt, a multi-time gi and nogi champion, and owner and head coach at American Top Team Portland, Fabiano Scherner.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. Professor Fabiano, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, and thanks for the invitation to allow me to share my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great conversation. I'm looking forward to it. I think what's fascinating about you, as I was doing research about this, about you, is your nickname. That's the first thing that stood out. Everybody talks about it. I would love to dig in because that goes way back to the couple decades ago, doesn't it?
What year?
What, like around 2000, correct? That's when you got your nickname?
Yeah. Yes.
And they start calling you Take It Easy.
Yeah, I was done with I was getting ready for the Worlds that year, and I stay around. I want to see the MMA training, and then Master Liborio was running the training for Minotauro, and then Minotauro came in. It's like, I'm sorry, Master, I'm late, but I'm really tired. I trained late last night, Muay Thai, and can you please take it easy with me today? And then Liborio was looking, I was like, yeah, I sure gonna take it easy with you today. I have a guy actually here, like his nickname is Take It Easy. He's gonna go easy on you. And when we started training now, I didn't have experience in MMA yet, nothing, but training a little bit. But so my job was to, get the boxing gloves on it, and Minotauro has the MMA gloves on it, and Minotauro doing guard, with me while I will, try to hit him. Yeah. And I mean, I just watched Minotauro on TV winning everything and those things. And I was there for, wasn't for that long yet. Still, I was like 2-3 weeks in. And I saw him a couple of times training, but I never had like a big interaction with him at that point. And I just thought, the guy was made, by iron, which, he was kind of was, super tough. But, a beginner like me, I just started to unload things, and then I getting a lot of the ground upon was working, and I kept going. At some point, just look at the boy, I say, yeah, coach, I thought you told me this guy's going to take easy on me, and then some guys on the side looking like, but yeah, he is taking easy on you. What you're complaining about it, and that kind of thing. That's how it started, so. Yeah, it was specific for that training. obviously, that kind of really stuck on me because I always liked, to go hard on training. Going hard doesn't mean like I'm trying to hurt anybody, but obviously use my athleticism a lot back then, because those guys they're ahead of me so many ways, so I had to compensate the lack of technique still being athletic, so then I couldn't really slow down those guys.
What was so appealing about training hard? Why training hard? Now, why not take it easy?
Back then it was a different, right? So, even like the professionals around, right? So they learn in one way, and the coaches, they learn in that way. And I think it was a lot of lack of acknowledgement in the other side, it was like the mindset back then was like hard work and hard work. But, like it's like hard work itself is going to win, matches and fights. And you can't like really, blame for being like that then, because there's every gym I went to, it was like that back then. And but over the years that changed, so the mentality, like why you need to do something like pretty much like every day, train hard, as hard as you can every day. That's going to actually decrease your lifespan as an athlete. You need to have the proper training, and resting, is very well known, like the most important part actually of your training. And back then, whoever was like resting too much, we'll call lazy. It was pretty much like a really, like just a lack of knowledge in so many ways. That nowadays, the whole internet and people sharing experiences and their knowledge in so many ways, the coaches, have way better support, to be knowledge in how, then to push your athlete. For example, I don't push my athletes, hard every day. I actually, the ones they want to go hard every day, I have to tell them, say, well, now, you need to rest, you need to take care of your body. Nowadays we have the ice bath and here, sauna and everything. So I teach them how to learn, and I teach them how to use it and when to use it. And myself, I also increase my knowledge in all of those, like how to rest, how to take care of yourself, because your body is your tool. If you break your tool, then what you gonna do?
Yeah, it was very different. I mean, I started in 2000 with Carson Gracie Sr. And
Mhm.
I remember, similar to what you're describing, there was no easy days. It was almost a war every single day at the gym, at the academy. Do you think that approach would work today if we push that hard every single time?
I don't think that can work anymore. It's been proven, if you do it that way, it's gonna cause more damage than improvements. So like it will be kind of uh inconsequential, if I'm saying that right. Sorry about my English. Some words are kind of hard to say, but yeah, it would be not smart. Let's put it that way. It wouldn't be smart, to do what we did in the past, because back then it was like iron sharpening iron, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I remember like some of the athletes at the gym, they start increasing their performances because they got then together a strength conditioning coach. And then they start doing massage, they start doing other stuff to take care of their body. And, I remember one of the examples on that way was Vitor Belfort. He was one of the pioneers, to, get strength conditioning, take care of his body. And look, he fought for how many years, right? While some of those, they didn't. My experience at Brazilian top team, Paulo Filho being the guy that I always saw the most talent guy in the room. But he, didn't have that kind of thing of, take care of himself and take care of his body and everything. So his career was shortened up a lot because of that. And again, not his fault, nothing. It was just like, the way he was. But, like, you got to look into, like, things that you got to always evolve. And some of these fighters, they didn't evolve on that matters. So, and that was one thing, my professor, my coach, my first professor, Murilo Rupp, he told me the other day we were talking, I was in Brazil for a few days, and then he said, well, Fabiano, you in Florianopolis was the pioneer, like, to become a professional athlete in jiu-jitsu as a blue belt, because I hired strength conditioning then, and I had support, right? And I was also traveling to Rio, to do the cross training with Brazilian top team and everything. After I did it that way and it worked out for me, then a lot of other athletes coming behind me in the South Brazil, in Florianopolis, at the Ataque Duplo gym, they started doing the same. So from that gym, then several guys went to UFC, like Thiago Tavares.
Mm-hmm.
You have Nazareno Maligari and so many others. I can't remember the name right now because I left Brazil in 2004, 2005. So, yeah, they, I think, like, and then you see nowadays as well, when I started in Jiu-Jitsu, watching MMA, when there will be a guy fighting on their, like, mid-30s, it was been like, oh, what that old guy is doing there, fighting still, right? And you see nowadays fighters being champions after 40. I have athletes in here, like Brent Primos, he's 41. And, you made it to PFL finals over a year ago. And he's still fighting in a high level, and training at a high level. But he does everything he needs.
Do you think, all of this that you're describing is evolution, right? We are just getting smarter about how to train, how to be professional athletes, and how to be amateur athletes too. Do you think that jiu-jitsu will be as big as it is today if we continued training so hard?
I think the evolution will happen anyway. So back in the day, right, there was Fernando Margarida. And I think you remember, like in the early 2000s, of 2001, I think that's when he did the Pan Ams as a black belt, and it was the first guy to tap Fabio Gurgel in the competition. Well, Margarida as well, started, putting strength conditioning and other things around him as soon as like he was a purple belt. And that helped him, to get like a pretty well around, and it's so good, and not getting injuries as much. And I think, like when we go back to doing the way we did, myself and you, and in the beginning, it's going to be tough because injuries will come too often. And then you got to stop and deal with the injury, or, you got to keep going being injured, which, then makes things like tons of times worse than already is. I don't think so. Like, you need to do that nowadays. The hard work needs to be done.
Do you think that that approach with taking care of ourselves, cold baths and sauna and massages and therapy and all of that should be applicable to hobbyists, the people who are, if they compete, they competed for themselves. They are not professional athletes. They are not looking to make money on jiu-jitsu. They use jiu-jitsu as an outlet for their life.
Even there, it has to be something. I don't really agree on anyone like in jiu-jitsu grappling, even if they don't compete, not doing strength conditioning. The strength conditioning, like, is always being looked in a wrong way, in my opinion. The somehow, they put the strength conditioning like stuff is going to elevate your performance, which is like the performance really, to grapple, you get on the mats. There's no doubt about it. What the strength conditioning does for you is to get you prepared for that, so your body gets stronger. So the chance you getting injured throughout matches and rolling is gonna be a lot less, because your body is being built, to support you. Your muscles and everything are going to support you better. And the consequence is like, yeah, your performance will increase, no doubt. And that's when, like all the studies, sometimes you see like someone, not interested, in really competing and everything. Now they're competing and they're doing better because they are putting those two together. I see it as a fact. Every student of mine, training partners, uh, they got injured a lot more or more often because they never put anything. They only did jiu-jitsu and that's it. They will not stretch. They will not, also get a massage, not get a sun, not do a nice bath, not having strength conditioning. Yes, you can do just jiu-jitsu. It's gonna get you in a better shape and everything. But even then, if you start going too slow, like gonna get like one roll a day, sometimes not getting even get a roll, there will be a time that you try to get 3 rolls and you gain injury on that day because your body can't support that amount because you did not
Especially,
prepare your body to, support you when you need more.
especially as we're getting older, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you think that we can do jiu-jitsu our entire life until we 60, 70, 80?
I do. I do. That's like, when someone talks to me, it's like, I jiu-jitsu is the only sport that I can see you can start at 4 years old and die doing old. And why? I think is jiu-jitsu is pretty fair, especially in the gi, right? Where you can totally, keep doing. I have students, they're close to 80, they still rolling the mat, and they do very well. They don't move like an 80-year-old. They move like a 60-year-old, and they do well. So I truly believe that and I tell my students, like, I want to die on a mat. If I die on a mat, like old, right, that'll be, the best life, the best death, right? Because it was my happy place.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That would be a good way to go.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning of all of this. Do you remember your very first day on the mat?
Do I remember what?
Very first day on the mat.
No, I remember. I remember. So
How old were you?
I was 26 already. So I was considered old to start jiu-jitsu. Um, but I had an idea to do MMA in my life, and then I had to do jiu-jitsu. So I knew that. So my first day, I'm gonna go back a little bit. I tried to make my first day, 6 months prior than my first day. I went downtown in Florianopolis. I lived in the north of the island that time. It was like 1 hour drive. So I went to a Gracie Barra gym. So I go there and they're training, and I sit down and I watch the training and everything. The professor black belt wasn't there that day, and then it was a lower belt coaching him. He left brown belt. They trained everything, they finished, and then I watched the entire thing. And then he came to me, he was like, "Hey, how can I help you?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm interested, in doing jiu-jitsu." Now, then, 26 years old, I was 360 pounds, I was overweight, right? And I'm 6'4" feet tall, and he was a small guy. And he looked at me and was like, "You want to do jiu-jitsu?" Like, "Yeah, I'd like to do jiu-jitsu. My idea is to uh, get into MMA when I'm able to." He looked at me, he was like, "Well, jiu-jitsu is complicated, but it wasn't what I was looking for." So I felt like I go back home today, and then I just left aside. And then it kind of encouraged me, to really get into jiu-jitsu. But I kept, I tried to lose weight, and I was training then with a taekwondo coach, and just to keep moving and doing my lifting. I wasn't, strength condition nothing, just really lifting weights. Um, and then 6 months later, the a gym opened in the north of the island where I was living. I went there, check it out. They're putting the mats down, and the mats in Brazil. I don't know if you have any idea, but it was so hard to make it. They will do that. They will use a tarp on top, right?
Mhm.
Anyway, they're like, "Hey, I want to sign up for the gym," and then the coach was there. He was a brown belt at the time in jiu-jitsu and a black belt in judo. And it was like, well, we're not done yet. Come back next week. We are playing open next week. It was like, no, I wanna sign up today. I wanna do it now. Make sure you guys, don't change your mind. So I want to sign up today. I was not taking a second. I was like, take my money. Take my money, please. And then I'll come back next week. For training. Well, then okay, that's the week next, the next week, I get in the mass and go there. It's a good training. So I invited some of the higher belts, for belt from the headquarters downtown in Florianopolis. They came in there, and then right there, I fell in love with the thing. I got thrown around. They got smaller guys beating the crap out of me, it's like but it felt good, because I like challenges, right? So it was like, this is very challenging. And now, like, I trained the entire week, right? And that was something I never did before. You so, like, your muscles so in different ways. And then you start feeling like muscles that you never thought you had it. By
Yeah.
Saturday, so I am home and I lay on the couch, and the feeling, how I can describe, my body felt, it's like the muscles were detaching from the bones. That's how I felt. I was so sore. And, like, it was really, really painful. But, Monday, I was back in there. And being so big and strong, right? So we have several white belts sign up in there. It was about 20 people, like, in the first month, sign up pretty much. They were doing good. The problem is I was too strong and too big. And you know, uh the professor started losing some students because of me. There was
Mhm.
one time where, I just like pulled some of the guys of another white belt arm, and I dislocated his arm, because I didn't have much idea. You know how we are as a white belts. We have
Mhm.
no, like, how to manage those things, right? And then I injured another teammate, and then he goes like, "Hey, I either get you downtown in the headquarters where there are, the best ones training, they can handle you, or I'll have to close you because like, people are not coming because of you." Like, I understand. So he took me there. Like I said, 1 hour drive, and my first training there was amazing. And then I met, Murilo Rupp, the black belt in charge, and also Sergio Sa was there days later. But they gave him a deal. It's like, hey, because you're traveling far, and if you compete for us, I'll give you 50% discount on it. Like, okay, deal. And from there, that started. And 3 months later, I was winning my first state tournament, and I could never stop jiu-jitsu or competing to it.
How did it feel for you training with the smaller guys and them giving you a hard time? I mean, you're 6 and 300 pounds. I mean, you are a big person, and
Yes.
training with a smaller person, and they are giving you a hard time. What's in your mind? I mean, was that easy for you?
Beginning, no, but I learned pretty quick. So Professor Murillo, you cut off a little bit.
I'm good. Continue.
It's still cutting off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Are you there?
Okay. So you said something, but it went mute. But you asked about the smaller guys, right? How I felt. I learned
Yeah.
pretty quick how to manage that because I haven't really roped, which is about 200 pounds, excellent, black belt, Brazilian national champion, and I believe he was also a world champion as a brown belt. He taught me, and he told that, hey, you're big, but you got to start using your technique instead, only using your strength. And Professor Sergio Sá was a smaller guy, and he would like really get me, to in a mindset like you got to use your technique rather than use your strength. And there was like a time of the year, so it was like 6 months later. Then I was doing better already, dealing with the smaller people. I'll pull guard, and they'll pass my guard and tap me and everything. But I never had an ego, so I knew at some point, I'll be able to actually get on top of them, and then like manage my size and strength and not smash them. Because there was the training I was attending, and I could every day, was a 12 p.m. one. And there was not many big guys in there. So if I would just smash everyone, I would not have training partners. And so I started, playing guard as a white belt already, then as a blue belt, and then the half guard and everything. And for a big guy, I became very well versed, on the guard. But yes, yeah, uh, uh, I I never saw like a problem like being manhandled by a smaller guy, no ego, nothing, and I understand that's supposed to happen and teach you the lesson. Now, if you go into jiu-jitsu, where you think like, oh, a small guy cannot beat me, or like I'll never tap for a female never, then it's like you should be into a different sport because that's not just about it, just about it. Like, yeah, you want to win, right? But you want to win in a way that is fair for both.
Tournaments are different. The different
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah, and sometimes, some people wait too long to tap,
Yeah. Why do you like competing so much?
you know, uh, growing up, I always like to really challenge myself. I did other sports. Um, I did skydiving for a while, which was
Oh.
very good. I felt so good, but it was very expensive. That was before jiu-jitsu. So after skydiving, then I got really, like, what else can I do? Because what's the adrenaline? To be honest, I think I just an adrenaline junkie, and I still hooked up to get adrenaline and be challenged, right? So I like to be challenged, so many ways. Like, how far can I go? How good can I be in those things? It's hard to explain, like it's something that it does in your brain. And jiu-jitsu to me is that chess game. Is that, like what you're gonna do. And for everything you have an answer, right? For any move your guy do, you have an answer, and then you can put your moves too. So jiu-jitsu, yeah, athleticism wins, right? But I think like being smart in the jiu-jitsu game helps a lot. If you can connect those dots, where you go, where are you going, what's the answer, what is the defense, what is the offense, and that's why I like that's how I feel. I really like to be physically and mentally challenged, and and I get my endorphins from there, I guess. Endorphins.
What's more important, physicality or being smart in jiu-jitsu? Technique.
You really need both, right? Especially if you're like in adult division competing, right? When you're younger. Later, it's not. the athleticism, sometimes doesn't really, have to be the one playing. The combination of both will be the best, right? No matter, how much people say, okay, going using your strength is, you're going to be using your strength and physicality when you're in the competition. At the gym, you don't have to. The gym, like, you can manage that very well. It will be fine. But it is important to have both. And like I said, being physically prepared protects you from getting injured.
That's the hard part, especially for those who compete, right?
Uh,
Is there one particular match that you remember competing that was extra hard for you?
well, several ones, right? To be honest, two guys actually, pushed me to my extreme. And first time I met Marcio Cruz, it was the trials for ADCC in Brazil. And I was exhausted from a previous match against one of the best wrestlers in Brazil, Antoine Jaud. It was a 20-minute match against him that I ended up winning by points. Then Marcio Cruz was pretty tired, but it didn't matter. He was great, and then he scored so many, finished the match on my back. Yeah, that was on Evangeline. And I started well, and then he took my back and everything. So uh, he scored 11 points total, and I scored 6 points on him, which there was 3 takedowns I got on him. And it was I lost that match, but it was one that pushed me the most, and it's probably my favorite match as well in all time.
Was losing hard for you?
Say one more time.
Is losing hard?
Losing is not good, right? So you don't like it, but I always try to deal in the best way possible and look into what is the positive thing I can get out of it instead focus on the negative of being a loss. And so I think that, helped me to keep going and deal with those losses and go. So I never got unmotivated because of a loss, because I'll look into, okay, what I need to do, what else, what I didn't do it, what I need to change if I have to change anything. Normally win, is easy to deal with because, you win, you celebrate, right? A loss make you look into yourself, it's like, what am I doing? Am I in the right way and everything? Decisions I'm making are fine. I think like in a way, a loss will build, your character better than a win.
But a lot of people don't like it. I mean, a lot of people don't like losing.
Yeah. And then and it's okay. I don't like to lose it. I just, I find and I look loss in a different way than a lot of people do. It's like you're not a loser because you're losing a match. That doesn't make you a loser. And we are winners already. That's what I think. So when you come to this world, so then the competition is in you. No matter how much you say like, oh, I don't like competition stuff. Like, there's always something you're gonna be competing in your life for a job, whatever it is. Sports are not different. It's even higher. But yeah, yeah, I do like the competition. I think the competition built good characters and more than bad characters.
Why do you think? Why do a lot of people don't like to compete? There's a lot of people who are afraid of it, or perhaps they don't want other people to think that they have weaknesses. Why do you think is the main reason why people would be hesitant to compete?
I think majority of people they are hesitant to compete is not because the competition itself. It's more like the work they had to put into it to
Mm.
be able to compete. Because it takes a lot, to go into a competition. Is the training ahead, is all the preparation ahead of that requires a lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of frustration. I mean, going for a competition, like you feel more frustration than happiness. So in a lot of ways, when you have to put that work, and then it's like, I always thought, like, especially in MMA, jiu-jitsu, I still have those butterflies. Don't get me wrong, I get in there, and I feel sick and everything, like was in the very beginning, right? I'm able to manage better my emotions when I am actually in the fight, right? In the grapple match. But before that, it's still all the same, growing up sometimes, growing up in the morning when I wake up and I think, oh man, I got to compete today. Like, I go like, that first thing in the morning. Yeah, it happens, So, in the, but I think like, yeah, that to work ahead, right? In MMA, for example, it's so gruesome, to get ready for a fight. You actually you step in that cage, you're like, oh, finally, we're gonna get this over with, Um, but I think, yeah, that will be the thing that majority, like they hesitant, to compete. And I uh I think also, like the way they see competition sometimes, like getting hurt and all those kind of things. There's a lot of like is it worth it for me? You go compete and maybe get injured. If I'm a surgeon, a doctor, and I need my hands for it, is that worth it, to even do it sometimes, I have a doctor and he's a black belt of mine. And then there was a time ago where he injured a couple of his fingers, right, in the gym. And then he couldn't perform surgeries for months because of that.
Mm.
So it's a lot of, like uh, variance, like why people don't like it or they don't go. But you can't blame anyone. It's like it's their decision, their free will. I believe free will, and people do whatever they want in their lives, the way they want. If you look into competition, like and what we do, we did is specific more like nowadays, like it's a lot easier to me to train and compete, as it's not as hard like when I was younger. But being younger and doing all of that, that's that's not really healthy because you're always crossing that line. Where is the healthiness in what is not? And unfortunately, like if you don't cross that line, then most likely it's going to be tough, also to win competitions. Training that amount and putting your body through these things is very tough. And what is like the healthy line? Where can you go, to be healthy doing sports? Sports, like I think in any kind of sports, if you look into it, can you tell me like one single sport that they train for and is really healthy, it's not going to give you any side effects?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, right?
Yeah, I don't think there is. Yeah. Yeah. That's the hard part probably about it, right? How much
Yeah.
you put in and how much you get out of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when you got your black belt? Do you remember that
2002.
day?
Yeah. 2002.
Did you know what was coming?
No, I didn't expect it all.
Walk me through that day. Tell me what happened. You wake up that morning and what's going on?
Well, I started jiu-jitsu in 1999,
Yeah.
January 2000 in 1999. And year after year, in the end of the year, we'll get belted. And, I was the Brazilian top team and I was in promotions, but I had no idea. I did not expect it at all to get belted. But, I always trust my master's decision. If they saw, black belt, was where it has to be, I trust them. The way I looked into, because I compete a lot. I was competing a lot and getting good results in every belt. So every time, like I was hoping not to get belted actually. After I done my blue belt and then from the blue to purple was only uh 10 months. And then from purple to brown, then I started like And I hope, I don't get a belt, but I can't tell them if I had won the belt if they, are putting the belt on you. Like, how are you going to say no? At least back in the day, there was no such a thing, right? That would be
Yeah, I know.
a horrible thing, to do it. But, you know, when they did it, I look at it this way that, okay, they trust me. They trust that I'm on that level. And then I put it on me. Well, now I got to show these guys they were not wrong about me. So I got to work my ass off and go there and beat more people on the mess, especially in competition because, the Brazilian top team has the purple and the brown belt. I put more competition. I was the number one competitor in gi, no gi. There, nobody put more competition than I did exactly those years. As a
So
brown
what
belt, I only had 2 losses as a brown belt in the entire year.
do you feel like you are good at jiu-jitsu at that time? You are a brown belt, you only have 2 losses. Do you feel like you are good at it?
You know, I didn't think I was good enough. Never. Right. So because that's the way you think you're never good enough. I think what like it helped me to get good the way they saw me. If you asking me, I can't tell you like I think I was good. I can tell you, what I did, that made me go pretty quick, on the belts. Training gi and no gi, I think is the best combination for jiu-jitsu. One helps the other. There's no doubt about it, right? And I started that very early as a blue belt. I was already doing both competitions, right? And it was hard to find no gi competition back then. Right? Normally, as a blue belt, I had to go in a higher belt, which they wouldn't allow. And so I got only few competitions as a blue belt. The purple belt didn't start. They start putting together brown, black, and purple belts in one division. To have more people, then I got compete more. But it was the game I developed. I think it helped me to get a shortcut. I can't tell a shortcut, but get to my belts in a less time than normal. I was doing some heel hooks, knee bars since a blue belt. And that was the years, like I think it was 2000, 2000 when they, or 2000, I think, when the Confederation, the IGF, they put a rule like only brown belts and black belts could do, knee bars. Heel hooks were never allowed, right? On their competitions. Nowadays they are, for adult black belts and nogi. But I had a good straight foot lock, ankle lock. But when I got to the brown belt and they pretty much unleash a beast. Now I'm going to competition and I'm getting a lot of submissions, straight knee bars, and toe hooks. Those became my number one. And there was a lot of people, they're not prepared for that. They weren't. So a lot of good names, and they're not expecting that. To the point where, there's some guys pretty much like myself, Marcy Cruz, Gonzaga, and Verdun. We got pretty much about the same time in the black belt, right? Marcy Cruz and Gonzaga, they're ahead of me, Verdun, but we got up there. When all 4 of us, we got there, all the black belts they were competing then, they're pretty much judo guys on an ultra heavyweight division. And it was very boring, right? Because they'll do takedowns and stuff and hold on those things. So nobody really paid attention to the ultra heavyweight division then. But then when it started, like big guys, have bottom game and can tap guys and all of that, then, they were scaring him out. So the heavyweight division then the ultra heavyweight division started being fun. because a lot of our matches, it will be more submissions than in the lower belts, on the lower weight divisions, right? So I remember I was at the last year. I was at the Europeans, and then I went against this black belt in judo and jiu-jitsu, and I beat him in the first match that day. And then after the tournament, we're talking. Then it's like, hey, he called me Pagaletti, right? So like everybody from back then calls me by my nickname. Hey, Pagaletti, like you're the reason a lot of guys like me always stopped competing then, because we didn't know how to do with the knee bars and stuff you're doing then. And then I was like, really? It's like, yeah, we don't want to deal with that kind of thing. So he himself and some other judo black belts, and they stopped going to the ultra heavyweight division. Yeah, you remember? So Marcio Cruz, he was a submission artist, right? There's not many fights he didn't, finish. Like most of his fights, he'll finish everyone. They're doing the same, right?
Same thing.
So,
Yep.
yeah, and then
go back to the day when you got your black belt. I'm actually curious about this because you got your black belt in less than 4 years.
Can you repeat that? Yes, 3
So
years
you were
and 11
there.
months.
Yeah. So you're there. You don't think that you're gonna get it.
Uh-huh.
Your name gets called. What's in your mind? What are you thinking?
Well, first of all, I looked to the guys on my side, and then I was like, they call my name. Then they start pushing me. Yeah, they call your name, dumbass. It's like, and then I walked through it, and then, like, what's happening, right? And it was a room like it's over 100 people in that room that day. And then I was like, but every single one, they're cheering me up and everything. I had few teammates, always trying to beat the crap out of me, all those years. I thought they're mad at me. They didn't like me or anything. I never stopped to ask. I never, got mad at them, I mean, I got mad at them, but I never showed them I was mad, so I always like control those things, those emotions. After I get the black belt, and then, one of them walked up to me, like, black belt. Like, and I look at him and say, no, I don't talk to him. And like, yeah, black belt. And then he's like, oh, now you can thank me instead. And then I look at him and it's like, I'm ready to like tell you, go ask yourself, man. Like, and then, but that was like, okay, I get it, And I give him a hug, and then it's like, now I get it. I told him, now I get it. You really, had nothing against me, you know. You want to build me in a tough way, right? That's seen me every time and everything. He's like, Kyle Levy, I knew you from the beginning. You're purple belting here and tapping black belts well first, and everything. And so yeah, man, I never had anything against me. But I I I couldn't tell you before today. I like you, man. I really, really enjoy see you like going to that point, get a black belt so fast. You totally deserve it. And but now you can take me. It's like then I goes, okay, man, thank you, for rounds.
Did that feel good to you? I mean, 4 years, not even 4 years. That's a short time in comparison to everybody else, right? Did that feel good to you? Do you feel like you've done something special?
I mean, I didn't think I had done anything really special, but I guess it was special enough, for my coaches, right? Again, I gotta tell you, like, I always think I never good enough, no matter what, I had that thing, and like, and I will have to go back to, being a child where, everything I'll do for my dad, working, whatever it is, was never good enough. So I guess, that's sticks on you, for the rest of your life, right? So I don't think I still think I'm never good enough, and whatever I'm doing, coaching or ruling or whatever. So, but that's not up to me to judge that when it gets to that point, right? So they belted me. I was scared. I was really scared getting that black belt. I knew, I was I did not have the maturity of a black belt, for example, like a coaching a very good class. I didn't have those skills, but I could compete, right? And I guess that's how they judge my talent, right? It was good for enough for the competition to be a black belt, and they thought I could shine in there. But I was scared, I was scared, and I didn't think, I really had done, anything like this great yet. Um, but it's something I had to do with myself. I uh, I wish we could know back then when we getting black belt because I really wanted my my first coach, which I still train with him, going down Brazil and south, so they could be there as well. So to share that moment. And but yeah, it's still getting kind of emotional when I got to talk about it. But uh, yeah, I don't know if that
Tell me,
answers your question. Actually, does it?
tell me, why do you think you're not good enough? I mean, you've been training for 30 years. I mean, you are a black belt. You are a well accomplished black belt. You get your black belt in less than 4 years. You're one of the best coaches out there. You have a lot of students. You have a big team. Why do you still think that you're not good enough?
Um, it could be seen like in so many ways, right? One I already told you, that I have that thing like from being young, never being good enough, to your own bad. Um, Second, like I think that not thinking I'm good enough, it created a how can I put that out? Almost like like I'm looking for adrenaline, thinking I'm not good enough. It made me better because and I think I got just addicted to the fact like to think I'm not good enough. Even like in I think in the very bottom of my heart, I feel like good enough, but that created a thing like uh, it never let me stop. So those kind of things. And again, why I'm doing that? Because I think I'm not a good enough coach. So it keeps me motivated, to always not relax, sit back and like okay. And it's not a bad thing, if I look in that way,
We can always
But it's like
always learn something new, right?
yeah. And I think no matter how good you do, you can always do better. And then
Yeah.
that's other aspects of the life, right? Being a human being, for example, right? So how good are you, to other people in this? It reflects on that too. I don't have the same mindset like I have, 20, 30 years ago. A lot more understandable nowadays on a lot of things, right? So a student will come to me, like 15, 20 years ago, and ask me like, hey, I want to talk about my goals in jiu-jitsu and saying, I will tell them like, just keep showing up for the class, right? So
Yeah.
nowadays I sit down with that. It's like, so what's your goal, right? Let me find out more about you, your background and everything, right? Because we're here to guide this generation, right? If you just don't give them clues, how are they gonna make it? It's a lot tougher. There was a student of mine, back then, and I did not understand. Like, I'll try to get him as a blue belt to do some stuff, and he was with me like for over 2 years. And I couldn't get it why, like I'm showing the stuff, he's getting wrong. And then I tried to correct him. And then, it gets worse. Then one day he came early to the gym and like, can I talk to you, professor? Like, yeah, I have to tell you, I have dyslexia. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, that's why, I have the hard time and this and that. It's like, you know what? Don't hide that from your coach. Like, like
Mhm.
you should have told me from the beginning. He's like, why? Because then my approach will be different. Now I know when I show something for you, and if I go there and see like you doing, like a good job that could get you in trouble, doing that way, then I'll tell you once, maybe twice. But I know if I keep try to tell you, do this and that, then it gets worse to you because your mind, kind of closed, shut down.
Mhm.
And he apologized, like, don't have to apologize, but like, I think now your growing is going to be better. So we have, understanding of each other.
Well, as coaches and instructors, we need to know our students. We need to know who they
Yeah.
are and what obstacles they have and how we can help them.
Yeah. And that's the thing I think, like, I don't consider me good enough in whatever I do. So my business partner, he knows that. So, and then, like, almost like he takes advantage, that's like, it's like always, pushing me to improve, all you need to do is like, hey, that's not good enough. It's like, okay, I'll get it done better.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. Well, what an amazing story, Professor. I mean, we've been at this for an hour now as we slowly gonna start wrapping this up. What do you think is the hardest part behind being an instructor?
Yeah, it's easy to identify that when you go through, you know. It is like when you started coaching more, like when I stopped really the MMA, like focusing more on coaching and everything, doing that transitioning, you need to learn. And I don't know if you um, really can in a short period of time. But when my students now, I'm taking care of them. I'll tell you something. Competing and fighting is a lot easier than being a coach. Period. Period. Because it's a selfish sport.
Mhm.
So, in a sense, right? You still need teammates, but it's selfish, because it's all about me. The preparation
Mhm.
for everything I got to make about myself, right? And even if you are not selfish, but people gonna see it as you a selfish person. But you need to be in that way in order to make it. When you become a coach, now you are dealing with not only you. Now you have hundreds of students, athletes, that they looking up to you and they want your help and everything. That's not the hard part. But the hard part, like if you don't know how to deal with, is with the emotions when they lose the match they're looking to win, right? Or they lose a tournament or a fight, UFC or this, things, then, and then you take the blame for it. And that's like, thinking like I'm not good enough. It's harder in a bad way. So then I'm not a good enough coach and everything. I didn't know how to separate those things back then, and I got myself in trouble. I had depression I had to deal with, and a lot of things for years, until I got it under control. Nowadays, uh, I can separate that. Still not feeling good when they lose, right? But I'm not taking the blame for it. So I think
I like.
that's the hardest part I had as a coach. Might be nothing that maybe sounds not hard for the coaches, but to me, that was the hardest part. Because I don't wish anyone in the world to be depressed. It's a bad spot to be. It's not easy to deal with, and you know there's no cure for it. You got to just get it under control. So
Yeah, that's the hard part. That's the hard part. Yeah. Professor, as we wrapping this conversation up, if anybody would love to connect with you, maybe as a follow up to these stories, or to get to know you a little bit more, where are you available on social media, on websites? Where are you at?
Instagram, Fabiano Scherner, easy to find, and I really, I have the Facebook still, but I don't check stuff in there because everything I put on Instagram is shared automatically in there. So if I don't respond to you or anything on Facebook, then, please don't blame me. But I'm very active on the Facebook Messenger. So if you message me in there, I'm very active. More than direct DMs on Instagram. But yeah, those pretty much. And then the website, there is a FabianoScherner.com website and American Top Team Portland as well. Those are where I'm most available.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure that all the links are posted in the show notes. So if anybody wants to connect with you, they are able to do it. Professor, what an amazing journey. I love this conversation. I love the fact that you're never satisfied. You want to continue growing and learning more. And it's just such a refreshing that you want to help everybody. And I think we need more people like you. That's just amazing in my opinion.
Yeah, it's, the coach path is something that my coach sound like. You just start when you get your black belt, like a bullshit, Black belt is the top of the, is a cherry on a cake. And there's nothing more truthful than that. You get your black belt, then things starts, right? Because the black belt then is a whole different world where, you can wrap everything together and deal with all those stuff, you didn't have to deal before your black belt. But it's a very, very enjoyable journey. I really love it.
I love it. I love it. Professor, let's wrap this up for today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the conversation. Well, I hope I'll see you soon.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be with you in your podcast. And again, thanks for letting me share, this stories I have.
I love it. Let's wrap it up for today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.